Hello everybody, it's your host Koi Gaming once again, back on No Man's Sky, and I've got another tutorial today. This time we're going to be working with this right here. Check this out, it is a door that can be powered by a button with a delay that actually keeps the door open. Totally awesome. This is what we're going to be working with this episode. We're not going to only do a door with a button. As you can see, my row of doors, I'm going to be showing you different ways to power up the door, even though the power is going out tonight. Alright guys, by the time the sun comes back up again, we should be good to go on the doors. But let me show you what's up with the buildings that I got here. I got two prefab buildings. First off, to get doors, you just go to structures, you go to large preferably, and then you find your door. This is the door you're looking for. You can have two types of doors. I'll explain that in a second. Just stick your door on the side of the building. You can stick them also on cuboid rooms as well. And then also for the power for the doors, you're looking to go to tech, power industry, power, wherever it is that says electrical wiring. And notice on the cuboid buildings, you have electrical wiring that you could just hook up right here on the outside of the building. And then you could hook up your doors pretty much to these outside points right here, the anchor points, and that's always helpful. And if you notice on the prefab, you've also got the same thing. So technically, for both of these, you don't need a whole lot of things. Because the sun's going down, we're going to borrow it. I'm going to use a biofuel reactor for the sake of this. And I'm not going to really worry about the batteries because I don't have to worry about charging this. But if you would just stick this up with the battery. I just want to make one point really clear, because if you hook this up to a biofuel reactor, or if you hook this up to a biofuel reactor, you power your entire building. You don't have a whole lot to worry about. See, the door's already automatically open, and you're good to go as long as there's fuel in the biofuel reactor, and or in the solar panel, and or in your batteries. And then eventually this will just shut down and die, and you can hook up all your buildings connected together that way. That we'll save for another episode, I suppose, you know? In the meantime, let's talk about doors while it's nighttime here. So let's get some, how do I get that little light up? Oh, there we go. Right? There we go. Okay, there we go. Much better. So this is your typical Holo door. It's the one with the blue frame, as you can see right there. It does not close. No matter what you guys say, this door will never, ever close. Done with that door. And on to the next one. This is our wall switch door. As you can see, we got a wall switch right there. If we go right up to this wall switch, toggle the power flow, we get the door to open. The door will never shut as long as this toggle is turned on. This is a really easy one to build. I will show you this one first, and as we go down, we'll explain all the others, all right? Okay, first things first. Let's talk about power one more time. Go back to tech, power industry, power. We're going to work with solar panels. You can work with either solar panels. Come on, stick in the spot. I know it doesn't snap. You can work with solar panels, biofuel reactors, and or electromagnetic generators. So take your pick right there. We're going to stick a battery right here, and we're going to be using this battery for a few spots in this area. And we're going to take our wire, hook up your solar panel to your battery. Make sure that does happen. On the wall of your door, go ahead and get your switch. What I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you to do this twice, okay? That switch is going on one side of your door. If you go through your door and you stick a switch on the back side of the door, and I'll just show you on this one door how it's going to work, okay? Because I can't really get in and out of this door very easily. You're going to take your either your biofuel reactor or your solar panel battery power. You're going to hook into it. You're going to roll right up to the side of the door. So we're just going to go over here, go up the wall, connect to the door. And or you could use the line from your prefab to go right up to this wall switch. Take the other end, plug it right in, and you've got your setup already for your door. This will not work, of course, until this little guy here turned on because of this solar panel. We'll wait on that, and you can see it working. To get the other side of the door, all you got to do is take some more wiring, take it from the bottom there if you want. Come up to this side of the door, hook it in there, take the other side, hook it in there. I don't think that hooked. Make sure that did. Okay, good. So now you could just basically flip the twits and it will go ahead and do the door, and it will do it again. It's also kind of a convenient way to lock the door. I will point out somebody named JC Hysteria if you want to watch about combo lock. She's already done a great job explaining combination lock. Not going to do that. I'm just going to move on from the simple door wall switches and move on to some complex stuff as we go. And I'll explain this over here as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this door, for example. Go ahead and go to tech, power industry, power, go to switches, find your wall switch, stick it on your door. I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did over there. Hook this in right here to your power. Hook this in right to your door, and you got your door powered up and it's ready to go. Very simple, right? On prefab, just so much easier to see, right? And then when you put your switch on the inside, all you have to do is just make sure to hook it up to here, to a wall switch. And then you just need to find another aspect for power, and you can't see it in this building. So that means you have to run it in from the outside in. Whereas in this building, you can actually hook into power right here. Just hook this in, plug it right into your thing on the wall, and you're pretty much good to go, right? Because you could just plug that in right there, right? With your wall switch or whatever you're using to use for your door. It's really easy for both of these buildings to do that. For the sake of demonstration purposes, I'm just showing you on a wall, just so it's so much easier to explain, so much easier to see. So I went ahead and hooked in the line from the other battery, just so that way I had a little power to show you that the door is closed, that door is open. And depending on how you toggle, that's what's going to determine it. If you accidentally toggle, by the way, both sides of these wall switches, you will lock yourself out very easily, okay? Just make sure you don't accidentally lock yourself out or get a friend to do that for you, right? This door is a proximity sensor door. This is the one people like the most because it's very easy, very efficient. You just proximity sensor your way in, proximity you sensor your way out onto the other side. For some reason I can't get through because I think I put this a little too low. Hello everybody, this is Koi Gaming from the future, slightly, just a teeny little bit in the future. I just want to give credit where credit's due. These proximity sensors were actually designed by Death Magnet. He's the one who figured this out in the Discord. He's the one who came up with this design and figured out how to actually plug in these things. So I want to make sure there's credit due for him. I realized when I was editing, there's no credit for him. I'm like, oh no, I gotta give him credit. Alright, back to your regularly scheduled door programming. You'll have to do a proximity sensor on both sides of the door. You just can't do it on one side, okay? I'm just gonna only show you one side. Make sure to do it on the other side. Take switches. Find the proximity sensor, stick it above the door or anywhere on the door or around the door. Just make sure you can get through the door like this. I put that one a little too low. Find your inverter. Put your inverter preferably this way so that way you can see where the input, where the output goes. Let's go ahead and just have the modifier sticking straight up so that way it's a little easier for everybody to kind of take a look at what's going on here. We're going to go ahead and hook into this battery because it's got more power than the other battery. Run a wire right down to the side of the inverter. You could use the green side or the red side. So far it doesn't matter. Take the other side of the inverter just like how it's doing here. Stick it and connect it to the door itself. And that shuts the door. And then put the modifier onto the wonderful projector here of the proximity sensor. Take the other end of the proximity sensor. Run it down and find a power line and hook right into a power line. This happened to be coming from the same battery. I'm just borrowing the power line, hooking it in for this. And so now it does work. Both doors work. Both doors will shut and open on demand whenever you need it. Okay, the next one that's a little bit more tricky, the floor switch. You would normally use this for your extracraft vehicles. Right now, the bays for the extracraft are actually bugged, so you can't really power those things. But I'm going to show you how it works on a regular door. This is essentially how you would power it up. I'm going to not put it so close. I put it so close so that way I can actually walk out the door and come back in. Much more easier because if I put it too far away, it will not do that. So go ahead and go to Tech. Power Industry, Power, once again, and switches. Look for the floor switch, this big giant thing. If you put it really close, you might have some placement issues, so just be careful where you put that. I'm going to move it a little bit further back just so we can see what's going on with the wiring. I am too close to the object. Okay, wonderful. There we go. We got this here, and you can see it's got a light toggle here. It's red now. When I step on it, it's green, and it just toggles between the two. So it's actually like a toggle switch, which is really convenient. And you're going to also get a power inverter again, just so you can see what the inverter actually does. We're going to put the modifier facing down. Okay, this battery here, we're going to hook in, and we're going to take the battery, run it to the side of our inverter. We're also going to take the battery, and because I'm just going to go do this and just say, okay, green must be go, right? I'm going to take the same battery, run it to the side of this as well. So that way there's actual power when you step on this thing, okay? Next up, we're going to take the other side, the top half, as you can see there. The top half is hooked up to the door. Run the top half to that door. The modifier here is going to go down on the ground and hook into the opposite side. So that way you have a red and a blue side, so to speak, or a red and green side. When you step on it, the door will open. When you don't step on it, the door will close. The reason this one's here, I guess, is to wire the left side, just to point this out. If you do wire this accidentally to here, it will keep the door closed forever. So this is essentially how you wire this wonderful floor switch, folks. Okay, folks, so before I actually tackle this door, I want to explain why this door was so difficult to wire, and I'm going to show you how to wire this one towards the end, but I want to explain why it was so difficult to wire, okay? I first started this whole gambit way over there when Serial gave me some ideas of how to make blinky lights, and so that's how I developed this. The very simple, easy method to create blinky lights in No Man's Sky. I moved on to JC Hysteria's auto switcher version, where it made blinky lights going in a row. Auto switchers don't exist, so we had to go with inverters, and that's where we get this wonderful inverter pattern. I got the bottom on here, and I got no bottom there. You can just see what the lights do when the bottoms are on and when the bottoms are off of it. That eventually culminated into how the heck do we power a button door, okay, folks? So when we originally try to hit a button, you do this, it opens the door, you try to go through, it shuts and locks you out, and you're like, what the heck, man, why don't you work button? You just don't do it. So then I eventually went, okay, well, let's try some inverters. Well, I mean, if it does that, right, it must do that here. So I did the same thing. And lo and behold, it powers it up, and I get the door open, and it shuts one more time. I'm like, oh, people. Alright, so after I tried this inverter thing, and it just failed me over and over with the power flow, with the toggle, I just was like, what the heck's going on here? So my friend Vanity, he built this wonderful, wonderful thing. So let me get the build menu here, and I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So this is all with auto switchers. There's 5 auto switchers here. And 2 buttons, one for each side of the door, 1 inverter. So the inverter is the typical door inverter that every other door seems to own, right? And so the difference here now is this button will push and power this line here, which then powers this line and this line at the same time, and this line way up here at the same time. And by the way, auto switchers have a long delay period. That's why that repeating light over there works better than this repeating light over here. But in normal, we can't do this. And so eventually, all these repeating lines will eventually power the door. I'll show you what it looks like when it's powered on. Let's go ahead and toggle one of the 2 buttons. You can start to see what it does there. And it eventually powers the door, leaves it on for about 3-4 seconds or so, and then shuts it again. This would be my ideal setup. Actually, Vanity did a wonderful job setting this up. I have no idea if I can simplify this. I've not tried. I've just put it on the wall to try to go, how do I fix this? I'm mind-boggled. I spent 2 days trying to fix the door with the toggle button. I'm like, man. So then I took I was like, my repeater's the idea. I know my repeater will do it. It's creating the delay that it should. So then I come here and I'm like, oh my God. And it failed me every single time. Every single time the door was shut right away. And then I was like, what I need is a Minecraft T-Flipflop switch. How do I make a T-Flipflop in No Man's Sky? Well, I made a temporary one. This battery is a temporary T-Flipflop. And as you can see the lights and what it starts to do, if you notice 2 lights are turning on at the same time, what's happening here is this button is propagating a double single almost, and both these inverters are turning on at the same time, and as it propagates, both of them are turning on. But if you notice what's happening here, look at what's in the battery. It gives me at least about 10, once it powers up the battery, it gives me at least 10 or so kilobits per second, or whatever it's powering, kilojoules, whatever it is. And that opened the door for a significant amount of time because of this one. This one's quite big, right? I went with the big design. So then I was like, there's got to be a way to simplify this. This is just a mess. So then I came up with this. An extremely simple 3 inverter system. I only have the lights here just so you can see how it works. Okay, hold up, Koi Gaming. Let's interrupt you just so I can explain something. When you said the lights were just there for show, it's totally not there for show. That's not true. We're back from the future, of course, after building this. Let me show you what happened when you delete the lights, okay? I'm just going to take these 2 lights out and watch what happens, okay? This gets a little broken if you don't put the lights in. It's very important to have those lights. You'll see this thing door, and then it'll never use the power, and it never uses it because it doesn't register the light as being used. And so it's actually very important to have these lights on there. It sucks that you have to put a light somewhere, so you might as well make it useful, like color decoration or something like that outside of your base if you're going to use a light toggle for this. And it just helps to have it like somewhere, like just make some cool decoration out of it. That way at least it looks useful, and it is useful. And with 2 buttons, by the way, you can have one inside the door, one on the outside door, and it will be fine. So as you can see, when the lights are there, it depletes the light. Something else that happens that I was explaining that I realized I need to make this a little bit clearer is when you hit this button, this battery refuels and it stores about like somewhere between 7 and 46. I've seen it store upwards of 46, as low as 7. That's how long you have to get through the door. So at least you can have one battery powering this whole system, stick the battery somewhere. Do not hook anything up. I'm just like totally glitching. Do not hook anything up to this battery. Just make this dedicated to the door only, or else you're just going to burn through your power and it's just going to run out. We're going to do this one more time so you can see it fuels. And it's fueling 21 this time. And I'm wondering, and I can't figure out, if it's very dependent on whether or not how much power is being generated from the solar panel and into the system. Because this only powers through the power that's just left over in this thing here. And so I'm wondering if there's a little bit of a weird glitch that's causing it to do that, or if it just happens to be the solar panel itself. So as you can see, the sun's coming up and it may power it just a little bit more. We're going to do it one more time, see what happens. No, it's staying about the same. The other thing I've seen, and this was a bug after I finished building all of these things here, was the thing glitched out to the point where I went like this, and it said, grid status overloaded, right? And I hit the button, and I was like, well, work, darn you, work. And I was like, it's not working. It wasn't doing it. So it would do this. And see, this one's at 46. So it wouldn't do this and it wouldn't do anything. So if you happen to see it, it might just be a bug. Because after restarting it a few times, it just fixed itself. I'm like, whatever, dude, whatever. As long as it works. All right, back to how to build this thing. You want to know, the whole point of this is how to build this one. Okay, let's get back to it. All right, folks, it's your host, Koi Gaming from the future. I realized when I talked about the lights, I also talked about the lights here too, so I'm just going to rebuild the whole thing. It'll just be easier. So first thing we're going to do, hit D, go to power. We're going to go to tech, power industry, power, and then we're going to scroll over to our solar panel. We're just going to go to build mode so everything's a little easier to build because I know it gets a little glitchy when you don't. Then we're going to put 2 batteries in, one battery here, another battery over here. With the first battery, we're going to run a line from the solar panel to the battery itself. And then on the wall, we're going to go switches. We're going to get ourselves an inverter. We're going to point the inverter this way so that way the modifier is facing over to the right. We're going to get 2 more inverters, 1 and 2, also same thing, facing the same direction. And then we're going to get 2 buttons. We're just going to stick them here. Each button is essentially going to represent 1 button for this side of the door, 1 button for the opposite side of the door. Next up, we're going to go over to decorations. And right above these inverters, we're going to put some lights in. In fact, I could probably lower these inverters. Let me do that right now and get this fixed up here. Power, switches, buttons, inverter. Okay, here we go. Much better. Okay, I want to have some room. That way I can have everything on the same wall. And then maybe I can delete the wonderful wall there. Okay, going back to decoration. Decoration, we're going to get lights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 light in green right here. And then the other light in red, just so that way you can see one's supposed to be on and one's supposed to be off, and you'll start to see what this starts to do. Next up, we're going to go back to tech, power industry, power, wherever you got electrical wiring. We're going to go ahead and wire the battery that has power coming from the solar panel. That's just going to go down the line. None of the wire is going to ever get hooked up to the buttons here. It's going to go right to the inverter. It's going to power all 3 inverters. Just run your line through all 3 inverters. Next up, the battery here is going to connect to the single modifier of the far right inverter. Then you're going to connect your light. That should power your first light. You're also going to connect your second light. Take the output of the first light, connect it to the modifier of the second. That turned off this light. Again, these lights are important because that is what powers this wonderful guy. Gives it the little mini storage that we need. Then, this is where things are going to get a little different. If you notice the line here is connected to the battery, we're actually going to take the output, run the output out, connect it to this battery. You can connect it however you want. Right now, I'm just doing it this way, so it's a little 3D, and it's just easier to see what it does when it sticks out like that. Last, run a little bit of a pipeline this way, over to the door, and down to the door itself, and that is all it takes to build this. So let us go ahead and turn it on and see if this one works. This should be working and it should be doing what it does. We're powered on. Battery's getting charged with something. I missed something. Oh, I forgot something. Oh my God, I forgot something. Oh my God. We also have to take the line. I forgot that line that goes on. We also need to make a repeater line, so to speak. The repeater line is coming off of this inverter. The output of the inverter coming up, going over again. And it's going to end where it hooks into the both of the switches here. So both switches are actually getting their power derived from the inverter on the far left. And so the system's kind of interesting because what it does, you hit the button, it turned off the power, and it doesn't matter where it goes over here, but that's what creates that ability to keep the door open. On top of that, the battery here is what creates the ability to make this whole thing go from AC, because the inverter here takes essentially DC power, converts it to AC, and all I'm doing is reconverting it back to DC power again, and it comes out again as AC, so to speak. It's so bizarre how this thing works, but it does. Alright guys, I think I figured out what's going on with this now. So I noticed something here. This one here, look at this. This battery powers and then it shuts right away, and I think it actually does have a lot to do with the fact that the solar panel is empty, because I hooked into this one with a biofuel reactor. I powered the biofuel reactor, hooked it up to this. It's powering that. It's giving more power and juice to the system, and so when I hit this, look at this. It fixes itself. It shows like, what the heck? And the door opens and it stays open, and it stays open for the time it needs to stay open. So apparently you may have to have a biofuel reactor as well. Especially if you're noticing that weird glitch, because I noticed it only happened at night. And I was like, what's going on here? And so it actually does what it's supposed to do. And it's draining, by the way, if you're wondering why the door hasn't shut. So let's see one more time. Once the thing goes completely empty, we'll see how much power the thing actually has. I think this fixes the problem. I didn't realize this yesterday. It might have been the solar panel. And then I thought about it all night, and it ended up being the solar panel. So lo and behold, there we go. We got power into the battery. It's storing about 23, and that powers the door. That's enough to keep the door open. So when this one doesn't work, if you notice, we cut the solar panels. It's just opening and shutting. Just see what you could do. There it goes. It's shut open already. Just see what you could do. Stick it with the biofuel reactor as well, or hook this main battery to your base battery. However, get the most power. So that way you have power for this thing to do its thing. And then eventually when this thing runs out of juice, the single battery that had no power, it should just do that and shut the door on its own. There we go. Problem solved. Yay! Alright everybody, before I go and leave you guys, I'm going to say thank you to all of you guys for watching this. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for leaving a ton of comments. And of course, as usual, we got doors. We got wall switch doors. Thank you, Hello Game, for making these things. It's so wonderful. I have to thank here Death Magnet for making this proximity door and helping me design this thing. Thank you for putting that up on this Discord for us all. Floor switches. I haven't seen anybody cook up the floor switches, so there you go. I might be the first to have done this. I don't know if anybody else did. And here we go. I have to thank Vanity, by the way. Vanity, again, thank you so much for this wonderful auto switch version. I really appreciate this. This is a wonderful design for this. And for all you guys who want to see it one more time, there you go. You can see it there in all its glory. Thank you, JC Hysteria, for making the wonderful repeater that helped me design the repeater. And thank you, me, for making this really simple button door. Finally, a button door. So that covers all of the switches that are available in No Man's Sky and all of the doors that are available in No Man's Sky, with the exception of shutter doors. Shutter doors and big bay doors, we can't use them until they fix them. So whenever they get them fixed. All right, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Guys, I've exceeded the amount of buttons I can have in my base. That's so sad. I'm gonna have to build a second base to make more light stuff. How fun. Well, alright. Well, let's just find a random button and I'll delete that one.